We're now going to Bassetlaw with Brendan Clarke-Smith. Brendan Clarke-Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today we've heard arguments that the government is forcing councils to increase council tax and has not adequately funded the costs associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. The reality, however, is quite different, and the comprehensive spending measures taken have been set out quite clearly by the Secretary of State. And Conservative councils on average also set the lowest bandy council tax rates, and since 2010 we've ensured that council tax has fallen in real terms. And this compares with the last Labour government where it doubled. And we know that councils face many challenges, but we also know that many decisions are taken locally and that taxpayers do not always get the value for money that they deserve. In my first real venture into politics, I spent many years as a councillor in the city of Nottingham. So I was very disappointed to hear of the scandal involving council-run Robin Hood Energy, a company that set out to help people struggling with their bills, but instead failed to turn a profit, ended up losing millions and being closed down, leaving 230 workers redundant. Unlike the real Robin Hood, this one ended up taking people's money and then losing it. And whilst Alan Rickman's sheriff famously suggested calling off Christmas, it is now the modern incarnation in the form of the Labour Council that will see budget cuts of 15.6 million, the loss of 272 full-time jobs and numerous cuts in services. And at its peak, Robin Hood Energy supplied energy to 125,000 customers around the country, many of these through council-run partners. Its turnover went from 4.6 million in 2015-16 to nearly 100 million in 2018-19. But in all but 1 year, that growth translated not into profits, but bigger losses. And by March 2019, it was in the red by more than 34 million. Auditors Grant Thornton calculated the council had invested a total of 43 million into the company and risked 16.5 million in guarantees. It said the council had failed to act on warnings to manage their budgets and criticised the use of councillors on its boards of its companies without sector-specific knowledge, which it said led to huge debts. And now they plan to sell off 100 million in assets to make up the shortfall and balance the books. In short, their coffers have had their hearts cut out with a spoon. Compare this with Conservative-led Nottinghamshire County Council, who have managed their budget admirably. In my constituency, Labour-controlled Bassetlaw District Council has been given a great deal of government support, with 54.2 million of funding in 2020-21, including an additional 2 million in additional COVID-19 funding. And in 2017, some councils in Nottinghamshire spent tens of thousands of pounds paying over and above the government's recommended rate for mileage. Notably, Bassetlaw paid the highest rate in the entire country, 69p per mile. And at the time, HMRC recommended only 45p per mile. And other Nottinghamshire councils are no different with wasteful spending. For example, independent Ashfield District Council, where they've created 5 extra cabinet positions and a political officer at a cost of £90,000, whilst increasing council tax. Or Mansfield, where Labour-run executive mayor's office costs are around £250,000 per year, and this is also entirely unnecessary. Mr. Speaker, this government and Conservative-led councils have shown the way in terms of sound financial management and sustainable public finances. It is time the opposition took note. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.